Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Large Scale Consolidated Live here with Andrew, MrPictovid.
Woo!
Hey, that's the first time I've ever seen you get excited.
You see something come flying from that side and hit me in the head. That was me waking the wife up.
Oh, okay. And so, yeah, we got another great edition in store for everybody. But, of course, before we move on, we want to do our ad sponsor right now.
All right.
The following episode of Large Scale Consolidated Live is brought to you by Splitjaw, makers of quality metal products for the G-scale modeling world. For rail clamps, expansion joints, bridges, and more, Splitjaw products has you covered. For more information, check out their website at www.railclamp.com.
And we're back. So, of course, we want to recognize those who are in the chat. And so we have Stay Loaded, Canadian Railroads, and scrolling down here, Sparky 107. Hello. Wigwag Workshop. And then we have Train Brothers Railway, 4-Track Railroad. Hello, Nico. Not sure if you're going to get robbed again, but we'll find out. Maybe in the future. It's such a good sport. Cody Risinger. Let's see, Mike Tage, or I'm not sure how you say that name. Everybody leaves me out hanging the trying.
Just want to say thank you real quick to Sparky 107 for the super chat. Highly appreciated.
Great. We got Bruce Morrill, Joseph Lipinski, Dunbar, and let's see, scrolling through here, Steve Junkst, and then
I see Joseph Lipinski says he's here to rob Nico.
Oh, okay. Well, you would be one of many. Vernon Guest from Reindeer Pass, Ken Hoffman and Dunbar at the same time in the chat. Brian Brune. And then we have Stay Loaded, the Infinity's Hobbies channel. And it looks like we are finally at the end. Now, we do pay attention to what you guys are saying in the chat.
Yeah, so stop talking about Sean. No. Hey, real quick, though, because I noticed in Sparky's message, he's asking if we were going to make it to Strasbourg. I know I heard something about that. Do you have any details on that, Sean?
Well, he made a video announcement about this, and all the details are in that video announcement. But he's supposed to be having this meet over at the Strasbourg Railroad. It's like, I believe it's 3 days, and each day he's got something planned that everybody can do. He's got a Friday, a Saturday. So yeah, check out his channel, Sparky 107. He's doing a YouTube meet at the Strasbourg Railroad, inviting people to come out and visit, and he's got a great channel as well. He does some neat things, and he's a Conrail fan. So
yeah, how can you go wrong with that?
Yeah. So he's doing a cool event. He's done one every year for the last 3 years or something like that. At any rate, so we do pay attention to what you guys are saying in the chat, and we noticed that you guys were having a debate. What is the difference between the EMD GP7 and a GP9? We thought it would be a quick, cool subject to cover before we move on to our show overview. So, we're going to go ahead and add this photo to the stream here. So, the physical difference on the outside is basically just the vents. So it's the number of vents and the location of the vents. They both had the ability to have dynamic brakes on them, and they both were able to have air tanks on them. But the true difference here, as you can see in the illustration, physically outside on the car body. We're not getting into the electronics and the motors and stuff like that, but the vents. And you can see the location. So this is a side-by-side comparison. Top photo being a GP7, bottom photo being a GP9.
So yeah, I mean, as far as external appearance, it's just a change in the vents that were on them, it seems.
Yeah, and there was different phases. I mean, they added things and took things away, and they were, also built to railroad specs as well. So they may have even added features according to those railroads. So,
Okay.
Yeah, so these were like your basic designs without getting to railroad specific things that were added to them.
You can't see it. It's a side-on shot, Nico.
Yeah, exactly. But there you guys go. So moving forward past that, now that we figured that one out, we're going to go ahead and go over the East Coast Large Scale Train Show that me and Andrew attended. If you guys missed the show, you're going to want to come back because there were some great deals. It was a lot of fun hanging out with friends. Me and Andrew and a few other friends ended up going to the Red Hot and Blue. I think it was a diner.
Yeah.
Or diner or restaurant, but it was really good. I really liked it.
Yeah. Now you just said that. I wish I would have pulled up the picture that I had for that, and I didn't think about that.
And it was a good dinner out with friends. And yeah, Nico was there. We can't leave him out.
Yeah, someone had to pay the bill. Yeah.
I just remember somebody drinking all the beer up.
Yeah, that was Vincent. At least that's what Nico kept saying.
Yeah.
So let me share this up here.
But it was a great 2-day show for sure.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect because that was the first time I've gone to it not being, at the fairgrounds, whether Timonian or York, but I was pleasantly surprised with what we got to see there.
Right.
Oh yeah. We'll throw that up there. Yeah, Nico made sure he got my crayons. Yeah, I was sitting waiting to get ready to eat, and the waitress came over with some coloring pages and crayons and handed them to me. Nico was nice enough to think of me. It's the little things in life that matter.
Right.
So
during our visit to the show, we got to meet a couple manufacturers. Ray from Bachman being one of them, and he was great enough to give an interview and talk about the new -9 that's coming out and the 53-foot Evans boxcar is coming out, as well as the Fred trucks.
And something to point out real quick too is Sean did interviews with several different people. Ray, USA Trains, Split Jaw, Nico, of course.
Yep, I did an interview with Nico.
4-track RR.
Yep.
Plus Sean did all of his regular videos he did. I think I have 1 or 2 that I uploaded. I got a couple more to do yet, but make sure you go over to Sean's Dackman Productions channel if you want to see some in-depth coverage of the show. And of course we did what was that, like an hour and 45-minute live stream walkthrough?
Yeah.
Yep. Apologies for the bad audio on that, anybody that listened.
Yeah, I mean, we're still learning, and now we know to bring different equipment if we're going to do that again.
Yeah. Next time we'll hire a guy with a boom mic to follow us around. maybe just a Bluetooth headset.
But yeah, if you're looking for these interviews in an overall in-depth show tour. The video I created for that is about an hour long, so it's a little lengthy. But if you wanted to see what the overall show was like, that's the one to watch.
As we're sitting here with Ray on the screen, he's probably going to be getting a phone call from Don Sweet saying, "Hey, I saw you on YouTube again."
Yeah, but
But
Ray was such a great guy to talk to and interview, and it was great to get some insight of what's going on and what what Bachman is doing to change up the Aristo stuff. So the from what the interview, if you guys watch the interview, what's holding the whole works up is basically the changes that they made to the boards. Because if you watch the interview, he says that they made a change to the original board, so you guys will have the option to plug and play multiple different controls into the Dash 9. And here they are here. Now they made a total of 4 samples or 5 samples he mentioned in the interview.
4 or 5, and I think the other 2 or whatever were at a show out on the west.
They split them up between 2 different shows. So these are basically free rolling. There was no motors or boards in these. These were just samples.
Yeah, they were. What do you want to call that? Paint samples.
Paint samples, yes. And it gives you the overall look. Now, he did mention that they did change up the logo on the CSX one to the new the CSX boxcar logo.
Oh, speaking of, we'll have to. Where'd it go? The chat's moving around on me here. I see someone was commenting that they wish they could have made Andrew B. So there was an RDC they saw that they wanted in the last video you did.
Oh, yeah. What I tried to do in my videos is I tried to include the vendor's name in case somebody sees something, but unfortunately, not all vendors have signs or anything displayed out.
Now, we will try to help you spend your money if you just give us your wallet and we'll spend it for you. Note here from Manimal22, the NS unit is powered, and actually, obviously that one wasn't there, but I believe that's the one that they've shown demos of running before.
Yeah, but he was just mentioning the ones that were here at this show were not running. They were just free rolling. But super exciting. He mentions that they're coming back out with them because they were so popular on eBay. And here you can see the CSX. They made that change to I believe it's called the boxcar logo.
The bracketed logo on the front there.
Yeah, and they did the sides as well. So he did mention that the NS one. I'm glad somebody brought that up. The Norfolk Southern one the sample has a white painted roof, and he says that Norfolk Southern doesn't really have white roofs, so that will be corrected when they go into production. The roof will be black with the rest of it. And here's another side view. He did show us the switches and stuff in there.
Where's that at? Yeah, these didn't, like I said, these were just rollers. They didn't have electronics in them yet, but as you can see, they are making provisions for all the switches and everything. And if I remember, I can't remember from when Aristo did these, if this opening to the left was there or not. Oh yeah, that'd be where the smoke unit goes, isn't it? Yeah, so that'd be smoke unit.
Dominic is asking what the prices are on the Dash, and I don't know if they were even talking about prices during the show.
Bachman wasn't, because they were just set up as a manufacturer. I think like the suggested retail on them is trying to think what it is. It's up over $1,000 somewhere. But if you go to RLD Hobbies website, I know he's got them listed for pre-order and I think they're $769 is his pre-order price on them.
Oh, okay.
Which, like we said before, yeah, is it more than what Aristo asked for him? Yeah, but that was what, back
Well,
in
20,
2005 or something, the last time I
yeah,
saw
yeah,
those.
you're going back quite some time.
Yeah. Yep. Paul confirmed what I thought. Yeah, that's where the smoke unit goes.
So anyway, that's the hold up on the Bachmann -9 is the boards. They want these boards to be updated, so it'll be a lot more friendlier to do plug and play. And he explains all that during my the interview that I did with him.
Yeah, and Paul looked it up for us. It's $779 is the pre-order.
Okay.
But I thought the graphics on them were really crisp.
Oh yeah, they did a great job on the graphics.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the ditch lights will be alternating like the real thing.
Well, and see, that's the thing we don't know because they didn't have electronics yet, but they will have the ditch lights on. And if I remember correctly from when Bachmann did the -9 or when Aristo did them, I don't believe those came with ditch lights in them at the time. Somebody in the chat correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that those came from the factory with ditch lights on them. I could be wrong.
But yeah, they chose the Union Pacific flag because that was like the #1 locomotive that everybody seemed to be looking for.
Yeah, the flag unit seems to have been a really, really popular one. Okay, Nico's saying they did have ditch lights on them. Well, that's why we got the chat here.
Well, they were not alternating.
Non-alternating. Wigwag, it could be yours. For $779, according to what Paul looked up for us. But I got a feeling you're going to get a heck of a locomotive for that too.
Yeah.
Now the other thing that they had at the table, where'd the picture go for it? Because they're going to do the Evans boxcars again as well.
Yep, they're doing the Evans 53-foot boxcar. So once again, these were just paint sample bodies. They didn't have trucks on them or anything like that.
Well, one of them did.
Yeah.
Yes, X did. And I'll pull that picture up here in a second.
But
I'm sure that rail box one will be popular with a lot of people.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, I'm sure that rail box one is going to be the hottest one out of the bunch.
Now, where did that picture go? Because there was a picture where Ray was actually showing us the end of the car.
It's in there.
Yeah, it was in the wrong folder if I remember correctly. Let me look wrong folder. Let's see. There it is. So when the Evans comes out, they're going to come with a Fred or end of train device on them on one end of the car. And from what he told us, the first run of them, there's not an option to get it without it, right? The first one of these will have...
The first run of the 53-foot Evans boxcars will all have Freds. Now, during my interview, he wasn't supposed to at first say that the second run was not going to have the Freds on them. They were going to be without the Freds. So he actually had to go back to Bachmann, call them up to make sure that I could keep that part of it in the video. And I told him, make sure you express to Bachmann that people would really like to know that now.
Yeah, Sean's trying to extort the manufacturers.
So Ray called up Bachmann because I was going to have to edit that out if they didn't approve that, but they approved it, and so we're allowed to mention that the second run will not have the Fred.
Now, a little bit closer look at that. Here's the bottom of it.
So basically, the Fred device in the truck will run on battery power or track power.
Yeah, and if you look closely, you can see. Let me see if I can get in here any closer. you can see, if you look, you can see a little tiny roller on the back side of the wheels is how it picks up powers. Those roll on the back side of the wheel, which is kind of a different way of doing it. I'm used to seeing, the carbon brushes, or picking it up from like the bearings and the side frames.
Right, and that center circle is for a watch type disc battery.
Yes. I think we had a picture of just the truck itself. Let's see.
We do.
Now I can't remember if he said or not, but it'd be kind of neat if they offered just the truck itself as well, as because it's all contained.
Yes,
And
it's self-contained. Yep.
and this truck, like, it's the same. It's the same truck that's at the other end. It's just this coupler that's on the end is a non-functional. The knuckle doesn't open on it, and it's got that, and the Fred is all built into it. So, I mean, if you're one of them people that are into body mount couplers, which I'm starting to be, it really, I guess, doesn't matter if that's on there or not, because once you cut the tang off the truck, you've done away with the Fred.
Right. And there's actually a switch on the back of the Fred unit itself for either track power or battery power. So just keep that in mind.
I have, there's Ravenhawk 6910 just popped into the chat.
Oh yeah. Hello, Raven.
And I see Vernon G and Vernon G, Dominic. A couple people are saying, as well, that they were going to offer this truck as a separate thing.
Yeah, which would be kind of cool. He did mention that they are working on updating the switch to go from track power to battery power, because it's like too small. It was really hard to get to, so they will be updating that as well.
Yeah, and as Four Track RR said, there is a company that makes really nice Freds. I think they go by Four Track RR. So if you want to check that out, you can go to fourtrackrr.store, not .com, .store, for their web store. You can see all the cool stuff that Nico has on his website.
Right. And if you want to see what Nico has to offer at Four Track RR, I did an interview with him, and he explains a lot of his products during that video.
He looked kind of nervous at the beginning of it, like, maybe you were holding a gun to him or something, I see Ken Hoffman commented that the Evans isn't prepped for KD. No, that's one of the things I did look at right away, because I know they weren't when they came from Aristo, and that hasn't changed on the Bachmann ones. It'd be nice if they had updated them to have KD pads, but I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, they are just a flat bottom underneath, or you just got to build up the shims. But yeah, if you're into body mount KDs, they're not pre-prepped for it. Oh yeah, exactly, Ravenhawk. Dackman is an intimidating human. Remember that time he forced you to let him use your home studio to do the show? Ate all your food and emptied your fridge out.
Yeah, I forced my way into his house and said, "Yep, this is now Dackman Studios and not Ravenhawk Studios."
Then the last thing I'll show for Bachmann is they did have all the different Thomas items they have on display. And it seems like they've expanded that quite a bit. What do they got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different locomotives now in the line.
Yeah.
I didn't grab any close-up photos. Of course, you can see they have the egg liners in the back. They got a couple new paint schemes on that. One of them was a school bus, was it not, Sean?
Yeah, there was a school bus, a police car. So they're doing a lot of different whimsical things.
Nico's Sean scared me with his new jeans. Hello, Zachary Riggins. I see you just popped into the chat. So yeah, it was great to see Bachmann set up there. Ray's always good to talk to. He's a super nice guy to talk to. Let's see. What did we have? Of course, we got to look all around the USA Trains booth.
Yes,
Let's see. What did
that's
we have?
always a high attraction area is the USA Trains booth.
And let's see. I know the picture you wanted to see first, Sean. Where did it go? There it is. Is, of course, the F7s that they're making now.
Yeah, so these are really cool additions. The new S7s. I did an interview with Charlie Rowe Jr., and he actually tells us, there's a couple other things that are coming in.
I'm sorry, but Joseph Lipinski asked if you were wearing skinny jeans.
No.
No, he was not wearing skinny jeans.
And so anyway, I was interviewing Charlie Rowe Jr., and he was talking about how the SD 40-2 should be in and the GP 38s.
Speaking of Charlie, there he is.
And there he is. So he was really happy to do this interview and talk about his product, and I was happy to put him into the overall show video.
Yeah, we were actually kind of really surprised because you and I did the walk around live stream on Friday, and then there were quite a few people that called in, the different vendors to want to buy stuff, or people that showed up at the show that didn't know about it or had forgotten about it.
Right.
But looking at the F units, I'm just looking now, and I noticed that the Tuscan, they actually have a pretty shiny gloss paint on that one.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Which I'm assuming is for the passenger service, which would make sense since I know. Yeah, Zachary. No skinny jeans for Sean. We don't want to see that. Oh, and good choice. I see Wigwag Workshop said he decided to go with USA Trains for their starter Garden Railroad.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. You still had the tag on your jeans. Nico had to take that off for you.
Yeah. Andrew B. If you go back to my video, Charlie does tell the audience when the SD40-2s are going to be in. I think he mentions, don't hold me to it, like spring, summer time area. But yeah, he does talk about that in the interview video.
Yeah. Now, I wish I had, probably somewhere in the pictures there were, you can kind of see in the background a little bit the chrome Santa Fe F7 they have there. I think I had a picture that kind of showed them better. And I got to say, as it goes for chrome, that was pretty good looking.
He did a very good job on the chrome. Very good.
Yeah, I guess this is probably a better picture there. Let's see. Oop. Yeah, you can see the tags and stuff reflecting off the chrome on it. Like that came out pretty nice.
Yeah.
And as I'm sitting here now, I see the New York Central caboose I wanted to buy. How did I miss that?
Yeah, so he did a really nice job on the chrome, and he did a very limited edition of the F3 ABBA Santa Fe set in chrome. They were actually serial numbered. You got a certificate, everything. I don't know if he'll do the same thing again with the F7, but these are nice. Now he did try to come out with Chrome Series PA AB set, but there was not enough interest in.
So those never happened.
No, there was only one sample that was ever made, and USA Trains is the only one that has it.
I tell you what, I was glad to see was the return of the Alco S4s, because those have been out of production for a little while. I thought those were really, really nice looking models.
Yeah, and this is what you're going to get in the USA Trains set. So you're getting a great set. Point. You know what I mean? You're starting off with a good looking motive out of that set, that starter set.
Yeah, I had a picture of the starter set here somewhere because they had a couple of them there. I think you can see it in this shot here. A little bit in the background, but the starter sets, everything that comes with them is pretty decent.
Oh yeah.
You get a nice. It's what a lighted caboose that comes with them, even too, isn't it?
Yeah, you get a lighted caboose, you get a power pack, you get track, you get a locomotive, the S4, which comes in this one.
And by the way, the flat cars you see laying there was a whole stack of those things when the show started.
Yeah, he normally brings them in loose like that. And for those who want to create their own projects on flat cars or out of flat cars, these are perfect.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, USA had a really nice selection of stuff available at the show. GP38s. I think most of these didn't they just recently get this shipment of GP38?
They just got them in, and I gotta tell you, my favorite one out of all these was that GATX.
Yeah, let me see. I think we can see it in this picture, maybe. That was the one I kind of gravitated towards. You can see it in the bottom of the shot here.
Yeah.
And that picture doesn't do it the best justice, but yeah, that was definitely a nice looking paint scheme.
And that locomotive is prototypical. It's actually painted just like that. It does exist.
And of course, they had the FEF there as well. That's a lot of locomotive.
Oh yeah, and it's all die cast. It's all metal. There's no plastic on this locomotive anywhere.
Yeah. Well, no, you shouldn't say that. There's plastic somewhere, I'm sure.
No, it's all metal.
There's got to be plastic somewhere.
Maybe the figure. That would be about it. The figure's
I'm just saying, if you're going to say there's no plastic, someone's going to prove you wrong. But, in their usual fashion, though, USA did bring parts and stuff with them. They had their metal wheel sets there. One of the nice things was they actually had replacement motor blocks for a lot of their engines. Not the SD40-2s yet, but they had them for the
44
Jeeps,
tonners.
the 44 tonners, the NW2S4 blocks they had,
and the GP series.
I think these ones here were let's see. I think these were the 44 ton blocks. Yeah, there we go.
Now, this is the first time that these have been reproduced in a long time, the 44 tonner. So if you guys got a 44 tonner, now's the time to get them because you don't know.
What's this one? RMA 1958 said they used to sell off their damaged stuff they haven't seen in a few years. Yeah, the last time I saw it, I think, was 2 years ago when Sean's phone started blowing up because they wanted to buy the stuff from him.
Yeah.
Everybody thought that Sean's Facebook page was the official USA page, and they were calling, I want to buy a show. I want to buy this.
Yeah.
And Kyle Kuiper is saying the SD40-2 motor blocks are in stock. They didn't bring them. And Nico's saying that they had the SD40-2 motor blocks. I know I didn't see them at the show. I know that much.
Yeah, they weren't there.
But as usual, they also had their wall of different. Man, every time I look at these pictures, I find stuff. I kind of like that New York Central 60-foot at the top.
And that's perfect for your Conrail early era.
Yeah. Every time I look at these pictures, I find more things that I'm like, hey, how did I miss that? But yeah, they had, the 50, 60-foot cars. Let's see. I think they had the 40-foot cabooses and stuff. There were piggybacks. I mean, they had a really nice selection of stuff they brought with them to the show. And mainly, I just want to show people that, there was actually some really good stuff at the show. I mean, I wasn't disappointed in the least bit. As I said before, I wasn't sure what to expect. The first time I've gone not at the fairgrounds, but I was impressed. I mean, Star Hobby, I did a really nice job of pulling it off. I mean, they put a lot of time and effort into it. So let's see. Was there anything else from USA we wanted to show? Oh, wait. I know there was something you really liked that USA had there. Where'd the picture go? There it is. You really liked this diner, didn't you, Sean?
Yeah. So Charlie Rowe Jr. was actually showing this diner off in my interview with him because, I was eyeing this thing up and it was just super cool because, it reminded me of my car show days where, I would go to different places and they would have car shows. And so, I could relate to this scene. And it comes. He mentions in the video. It comes with everything you see except for the cars. So you get the parking lot.
No. The parking lot does not come with that.
Yes, it does.
Are you sure about that? I thought he said he didn't.
No, it doesn't come with the cars.
Go
back and look at my video.
I want to go back and look at it. Not right now. As soon as we're done.
Yeah. But he says specifically, it says, does it come with everything? He says everything except the cars. I said, including the parking lot. He says, yes, including the parking lot. So go back and read or watch my video.
All right. I'm going to take your word on it for now.
You get the flower bed. It's got a heck of a smoke unit on it. So if you look at my video, it's sitting there smoking. It has the neon flashing sign. And by the way, if this thing does come with a parking lot, you are buying it.
Oh, yeah. Canadian Railroad said they only serve Pepsi, Sean.
Yeah.
Well, that's good because, Cody in the chat likes Pepsi, so he'll be there.
He'll be there.
I see RMA 1958 was asking. We had showed a heat sink that fit on the RailPro receivers. That was Ollie Valley rail car that had those.
Yes.
And he's asking if there was a problem with the receivers getting hot where you actually need that. I don't have any RailPro. I know several people that do. And it kind of seems like it depends on the situation. If you're putting them in, something with absolutely like no ventilation in it, and it's running in the sun. But I know quite a few people that have installed them without the fans. I mean, it just depends. I mean, I've seen people with Revo, like if you're putting a Revo in a USA Hudson, I've seen some people put cooling fans in there. It just depends. It's electronics. It all kind of behaves how it wants to at times.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, of course, our sponsor for our show, David for Split Jaw, was there. We were happy to see him. Originally, he wasn't going to be there, and then some stuff changed for him, and he showed up.
Yeah, and he's pretty glad that he showed up because he sold quite a bit of stuff. I mean, he has, he brought some bridges with him. I think the first day he had 3 or 4 bridges already sold.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, if you look at all these bridges that are standing up next to this guy that looks like Sean, I want to say like all these lift bridges you see sitting here, like I know by the end of the show, I think just about every one of those was gone. People were loving those. Okay.
Yeah.
Note on the other thing we were just talking about, Manimal 22 said Don Sweet, which I believe is what the radio control systems in New England.
Yes.
He says Don installs heat sinks and or fans for all Florida and Arizona customers, which that would make sense to me.
Yeah.
I've been to Florida twice in my life. It gets rather toasty there in the summer.
Now, for those who, and I would like to make a correction here on my.
Uh-oh. You were wrong?
Yeah. So my initial interview video with David from Split Jaw, and I'm talking with him, and then during this video I show some more product and I talk on my own without him. I sort of mentioned that he makes custom bridges, and that's not what I meant to say, but that's how it came across. So my correction to that would be he makes certain length bridges that you can pick from. I don't know how
Yeah,
many
he
different
doesn't
lengths.
offer, he doesn't offer, custom lengths, because obviously that you kind of start getting into more cost when you go into that stuff.
Yeah, so I sort of promised them that I would make a correction on that.
But yeah, he had those bridges. And I'm trying to remember, was this what he said was the design line bridges? It had
Yes,
like all the rivet detail and stuff in them, which was super nice looking bridge.
I think that was the girder bridge, wasn't it? The design line.
Hmm.
Pretty sure that was the girder bridge. That's from the design line. I
I
could be
guess I'll
wrong.
have to go and watch your interview with David to find out.
Yeah, he does mention that in the interview. What's the design line? He mentions which ones is an original bridge setup.
Oh yeah, and I think that's what this was. Wasn't this Bridgeworks? I thought. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you're wrong.
Always wrong. um, but I thought he had something else that he was starting to offer new there. Where the heck is it now? Maybe this is it.
Canadian Railways was wanting to know if they're going to do a larger version of that girder bridge. Do you remember?
I don't remember hearing for certain on that. Yeah, I don't have that answer. However, if you go to railclamp.com, you can shoot David an email there through the contact thing and get an answer from him on that. But yeah, the deck girder here, that was something new that he's just starting to offer.
Yeah, and
But
he's offering
course,
this as well.
Yeah, and of course he had all the customary rail clamps and all that good stuff there as well.
He did come out with a new rail clamp that is basically for the end of the track to keep the train from coming off the end of the track.
Oh,
He shows that on my interview video.
Okay, I was going to say I didn't see that in the pictures. Now, he was also showing some samples of something else. What the heck was that, Sean?
This the new signals that he's playing around with.
Oh yeah. So something new that he's looking at getting into is possibly offering G-scale signals. I don't see him here. He had dwarf signals too, but I think those were all gone by the time you took this picture. But he had some samples of different ones there, just kind of putting some feelers out to see if people were interested. It looked like really nice signals, from what I could see looking at them.
Yeah. So he does talk about that in an interview video as well.
And I was looking to see if there was anything else that he had in here.
If you guys want links to these videos, just let me know and I'll drop them in the chat.
Yeah, I should have thought ahead and put the links in the description of the video, and I can make a note to go back and add those, or as well, I could probably put some pop-up links in the replay of this so the links pop up at the right time. That just requires me to go back and watch it and add those.
So you gotta go back and watch yourself. Oh,
yeah, it's bad enough I gotta watch myself right now. Kyle Kuiper looks like he was one of the people that took home a dwarf signal with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember there was someone that I knew that they got one of them. I couldn't remember who it was though, so that was Kyle. Let's see, what else did we have from there that we were going to show, Sean? Oh, well, we had our general photos from the other vendors as well.
Yes.
What's a dwaft? Did I say dwaft or did I say dwarf?
Kyle spelled it wrong.
Oh, Kyle spelled it wrong. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I developed a speech impediment or something in the last 10 seconds. I could have. You never know.
No, Nico's just making fun of Kyle's spelling.
Ah.
Yeah.
So there was quite a bit. Zachary's asking, did they sell crossing gates? The answer to that is no.
Mm-mm.
Oh, there's Randall Ellison that just popped in. Hello, Randall.
Hey, Randall, how's it going?
But yeah, Zachary, no crossing gates at the moment. That's not to say that that's not something they might do in the future. There was no mention of that. I just don't want to definitively say no, they don't do that, because then I'll be wrong. But yeah, we going around the show, there was quite a bit of stuff to choose from.
Oh yeah, and you guys missed out on a lot of good deals.
Yeah, I mean
the Susquehanna Valley, I think it is, Garden Railway Society was there selling, and they were selling stuff cheap.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I've noticed that at the past couple shows that I've gone to is there's usually like one or two people set up that are just it seems like they're giving this stuff away for the prices they're charging. So
they were selling $20 G scale cars, metal wheels and all.
Yeah. But there was a great selection of stuff at the show. Ooh. Randall said that he just got back from Memphis, 14-hour trip plus 6 hours of yard duty. Oh boy.
That's a long day on the railroad.
But of course, we had our own little table set up there for people that wanted to learn about the show. As you can see by the picture, my wife had ran off and hid somewhere by then. She said, "I'm tired of holding the table down. Where's Sean and Andrew at?" But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there was just, I thought there was a great selection of items at the show. I can't say that enough times, I guess.
Kyle says, check your Facebook Messenger.
Check my messenger. Oh boy, what Kyle send me? Let's see.
Here we have Michael Sutzer's booth. He was selling off a lot of G scale stuff. That's where this picture is taken at.
Okay, I have no idea what Kyle wanted, but moving on. Yeah. And the thing I always liked.
And here's the Susquehanna Garden Railroad, or Susquehanna Valley Garden Railroads.
And actually, now that you just said that, where's it at? I bet you this here is what was it Andrew B was talking about, the RDC that he saw. It was probably them that had it, because they had a couple of them here.
Yeah.
They had of course, the pictures turn around. The other was at Pennsylvania Reading Seashore Lines, I think, on that one.
Right. One of them, I think, was a Cape May one. Because I remember saying it. I think it played on the way to Cape May.
Both of these look like they're Pennsylvania Reading Seashore Lines.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody had the Cape May version on there.
I see Manimal asking, so what did I buy? The better question is, what did Sean buy? He needs to get some G scale. I came home with some track Manimal. I have an expansion that I want to do on my layout. Nico forced me to buy a 40-foot auto rack from him.
Forced you.
He extorted the money from me.
The way I seen it is like, is this for sale? Nico says, yeah. Well, I'm taking this, and you put it off to the side.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what all I did bring home with me. This I didn't get at the show. I picked up at the show that I was happy to finally get was this center. It's the center cupola USA Trains caboose they made in Conrail, which I believe, if I'm correct, Sean told me because there's an R after the number, I can't run this on a regular train, and I have to watch his video to find out why. I came home with a few things. I went to this show the same way I do every time I go. I really never go with the intention of, well, I always have the intention of buying something if I see it, but there's really never anything I'm just looking for. It just happens to be that, hey, I think I'd like to take that home with me. You know, it just happens. I think Nico extorted me for a couple of like fairy garden houses that the wife has sitting out front now. Which I have to admit they do look nice out there. Working on a small little section for her because she has a couple of egg liners she likes to run. Let's see here.
Oh, and an FA lowering kit he said you bought from.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Don't forget I need 2 more of those, Nico, because I got an ABA set of those.
Are you ever going to really install them, or are you just going to look at them?
As long as I give Nico my money, does it really matter? I don't think he cares as long as I give him money.
No, he definitely cares because I know he kept after you for a while. Have you done the 2-bay hopper, and finally you had to send it to him and let him do it.
Yeah, that's and actually I have 3 more kits of it. But yeah, that's what's on this car here is his lowering kit that incorporates the body mount into it, and that I believe they were free. What were free? Well, I don't want to tell people you're giving me free stuff, Nico. Then everybody's going to want free stuff. But the thing I was happy to see at the show was I always like seeing the layout set up, which, at York, there was always that whole complete hall, which I don't know how many clubs were usually set up there at one time, Sean.
I'm thinking at least I would have to count it out loud, but I'm thinking like 6 or 7 usually normally there.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But we have 3 clubs that were here. We had the Southeastern Pennsylvania Gardener Way Society, right?
Yes.
Which, they had a pretty decent size layout set up at the one end, as you can see in the picture there. Joseph Lipinski says, free stuff again. Nico's getting robbed. But they had a really nice layout set up.
They always have a nice setup.
And, they always have a lot of nice scenes on it. I still got to find out where these gas pumps came from because I really like those.
Yeah, they're really nice. They bring back memories for me.
And something I wanted to point out, and that they had told us about, where'd the picture go? Actually, you can see a little bit in the background there. These
yes,
storage tanks to the right is just PVC and caps. The PVC pipe and the caps that go on it is all they use to make those for the most part. And I thought it came out really nice. It definitely adds to the scene.
I would like to talk about this just for a minute before we move on. So
sure,
we have to understand that they're trying to get this show back up and running again. There was a lot of things that happened during COVID, and with the loss of trying to open a show and it closing down. So yeah, they were in a smaller building, but Dan has already picked out a much bigger building for next year. So
not that building.
Right. Yeah. So next year's building is going to be even bigger. So I guarantee you that there'll probably be room for the club if they decided to go. And, I would hope that people would try and support this show and try and get it back up to where it once was. And he's working towards that goal a little at a time.
Yeah, it's basically there's really no need to push for a huge space if you don't have the traffic coming in. You
Right.
know, like the more people that attend the shows, and the more volume there is going through it, then if it gets to the point, theoretically to where they can't close the doors because there's so many people, then they're going to say, hey, we might need to get a bigger place next year. So
I would also like to mention that Dan's granddaughter is the one who puts all the hard work into the websites. And, there was a lot of harsh words and statements that were made. And it's hard to see a young lady who's trying to put her heart and soul into this deal with the harsh comments. And so I would hope that the people, or if I mention this, that they would go back and be more supportive of the website and of her. So
she was putting her all into the site and everything that she was doing, and I thought she did a really great job. She was putting updates out there and everything. I mean, that's usually my biggest complaint with anything is you don't see updates, and she was actually doing a really good job of getting the updates and that out on the show. So there's Sean. Okay.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and move on. I'm good now. I just wanted to get that out.
I thought maybe your tape deck got stuck there for a minute or something.
No, I just needed the amendment for myself, and then we'll go ahead and move on.
All right. Let's see. Now this picture I got up now, you were telling me something at the show about that crane that's sitting there, and I can't remember what you were telling me about it now. Is there some significance to that?
Yeah, I actually donated that to the club back in 2015 when I decided to get out.
Okay.
But I came off my own layout.
Okay. I remember you talking to me, and I went, Sean's talking. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But we also had the Washington, Virginia, and Maryland Garden Railway Society that was, oops. Kyle was messaging me, and I got the wrong window up here. Like, wait a minute, that ain't the right window. They actually had a pretty nice layout set up, and it was kind of fun as I was taking video of it. I was out kneeling down on the layout taking video, and Sean's walking along the rope with his camera upside down, like going along, and I'm just watching him, and finally he got done, and he closed the camera up, and he's looking at me like he didn't know what he was looking at. I'm like, what are you doing out there? So all you got to do is ask.
Yeah.
But we both got some pretty good video of their layout as well.
I like their little figure eight, sort of like challenges the train a little bit to make sure it doesn't hit itself.
Yeah, I've got a couple of shots in my video I know where I think if they would have had a full size caboose and not a bobber caboose on there, like it was that close. Well, actually, I think the coupler was off the bobber caboose. I think just the coupler being on the end would have been enough that it would have tagged the end of it.
Yeah,
it definitely it made for some intense moments. But they had a really nice setup, and they were switching out, running different stuff. One time, I think I saw an MTH 1 gauge GG1 running on there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the MTH GG1 suffered some issues with the.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they had a really nice setup. And then who else did we have? Who else was there? There's one other club. The PVC train, was it PVC Train Runners? Is that it, Sean?
Yes, PVC Train Runners. Now they didn't have their full PVC layout there because they don't have a full crew of members who are well quite yet. So they just brought the end piece that people need to that are normally used to seeing, that has the circus stuff on it, the amusement park. That's their end piece.
I agree with Dominic. You need to get back in the G, Sean, so we can get USA Train sales back up. Think all that money you'd spend buying all that USA Train stock. But I do have to say the setup, you got to watch the videos, but like all the amusement stuff on here was functioning from what I remember, the roller coaster and everything.
Yes.
I thought that was really, really neat that they had all the stuff that worked on it. And this is what they had set up inside of their larger layout year after year.
Yes.
But I have to say that I didn't pay as much attention to this when it was set up with the larger layout. Being set up by itself kind of forced me to take a closer look, and I didn't really appreciate everything that was going on this layout in the past years. And I didn't realize there were that many different operating amusement rides that were made in G scale.
Yeah, and don't forget this featured a cogged railroad as well.
Oh yeah, I probably can't see it because it's around the back side, but it has the elevated portion in the back there. I don't think we had a picture of that in here.
Yeah, it has a cogged center rail or third rail.
No, I don't think I had the. Yeah, you can kind of see it over in the corner over there. So yeah, there's a third rail in G, although it's not the type that Sean's looking for. What are you gonna do? I'm trying to think. Was there anything else that we were gonna look at?
Now there was a fourth layout that you forgot to mention altogether.
Which one did I miss?
The live steamers, the Eichenbach.
Well, I'm gonna blame you on that because I didn't see it in your pictures anywhere.
Blame
Yeah. The guy that didn't put pictures in an album. Like I had to like go and like hunt and peck through your posts to try and find them. So I apologize. Yeah. The live steamers were set up out in the parking lot both days. And actually it wasn't bad weather.
Yeah, and if you guys want to see videos of the Eichenbach live steamers, I do have that up on my channel as well.
Yeah. I didn't see the pictures when I was scrolling through. It completely slipped my mind. Although I did take some video of their layout when I was out there. I saw that one Russian guy, Boris, out there roaming around at one time. Which is kind of funny. As I was out in the parking lot, he was texting me, asking me where I was at. And then he informed me that I had walked past him like twice. It's like, why didn't you, hey. He goes, well, you're kind of hard to miss with that orange shirt on. It's like, well, obviously you saw me. Boris is always fun to interact with, though, depending on the day of the week. So let's see. Was there anything else we were going to look at as far as the show portion? I think we went through the vendors and the other items.
Yeah.
I was the other part of what we were going to talk about a little bit was because we get requests at times to cover some different topics, and if there's people that are newer into the hobby, you don't really realize the variety of different couplers and wheels and different things that are available. So give me a second here to move a couple of things.
Nico wants to know if you covered the 4-track booth.
I asked Sean if he covered the 4-track booth. And
you're blaming me again.
No. And his answer was that he did a live interview with, or not a live interview, but he did an interview with you.
Yes.
So
if you guys want to see Nico interview, just look at my video from the East Coast Large Scale Train Show overall show video, and Nico is featured in there as well.
Yeah, and I've run into that myself, where it's kind of like you have to like kind of pick and choose if you want to focus on video or on pictures. Sometimes it's hard to do all of it,
Nico says you robbed them again.
Well, that's funny that he says that. Where's that at?
I think you found out that Nico was doing some kind of seminar that day, right?
Yeah. It was actually really nice of him. I believe he was set up. Here he is now. He was doing a whole seminar on how to get robbed with Nico Corbo. You know, I didn't get a chance to sit through it, but I heard it was pretty riveting. Good times, good times. I go to the shows because I really enjoy the people that I see when I go. That's really truly the main reason that I go. So let me see here if I can flip this camera around. Oh, yeah, Nico appreciated the picture. So let's see here. All right. Should be looking in front of me now, right? Yeah, there we go. So at the moment, we're looking at a piece of track, but let me turn this on. So make this a little bit bigger. There we go. So let's talk about couplers at first. And of course, as everybody is very, very familiar with, the de facto coupler for G-Scale that comes with everything you ever buy in G-Scale is the hook and loop couplers. We've all had them. I think I got a big plastic bag full of them here somewhere. And, of course, there was some variations on them. These are the ones that Aristo did that actually had a spring in them for the hook on them. And then the LGB style actually had this separate, I think this was LGB that did that, had that separate little plastic spring thing in there, Sean. If I'm not mistaken, do you remember?
USA Trains did it too.
USA did it too.
Yeah.
So we all know about those. Now, where you start getting a lot of variation is most of the manufacturers all had their own, let me get my hand out of the light there, their own style of knuckle coupler. This is, of course, one of the ones that USA offered, which actually looking at that, I just realized that they actually had a hole in there so you could actually put on there for the coupler lift bar, I believe. Yeah, how about that? But you have, not past tense. USA, of course, the Aristo knuckle couplers. I see Manimal's asking, what the heck is that? I got a bunch I don't know what to do with. What, the first picture I put up, Manimal, are you referring to these ones? The hook and loop? But of course, we got the Aristo knuckle coupler. Let's see, what else do I got here? This, I believe. Of course, AML has their knuckle couplers that they make. As you can see, they're all a little bit different. And it's a little bit kind of crazy because in, the other scales, you don't have quite such a variety of different couplers available. And the one that a lot of people probably don't see a whole lot of is, of course, LGB has their own knuckle couplers that they've made. Let's see, it looks kind of out of focus. Yeah. Which I only have one pair of these. Is the only pair I've ever seen. I know they still make them to the best of my knowledge. And then the one that I am not 100% sure on what it is, and someone in the chat may know, I think these may have been the ones that Kalamazoo did maybe, or perhaps Delton. Any idea on that one, Sean?
No.
But the biggest thing that I kind of wanted to point out with all these different couplers, oh, you know what? There was one more that I was missing. is the the Bachmann knuckle couplers. And something I want to point out in showing you this, the Dash 9s, when they come out, are going to have the Aristo style knuckle couplers on them, these ones here. Lionel, yeah, 4-track saying Lionel, Kyle saying Lionel. Yeah, you know what, you're probably right, because I tried looking before I started the show to see if I could find some info on them, and I was coming up short on that, on what those were. But yeah, Bachmann has their style of knuckle coupler that they've done for years, and I wish I had a Bachmann truck here so I could show, but the Bachmann, the way they keep the knuckles centered is they actually have this sprung tang that comes off of there that actually goes through a loop on their truck. And you got to watch with these, because once you break that off of there, the knuckle just kind of goes all floppy on them. But looking at all of those, I mean, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different types of knuckles there. And believe it or not all of those really couple together like they should. One of the things I want to point out to people that may not be aware is with the USA Trains knuckle couplers, the way when these get mounted, and Sean knows because he was a big USA guy, these actually, when they're truck mounted, ride lower than all the other knuckle couplers. All the other ones have, some type of provision in them that raises them up, but I don't have anything mounted on a truck to show you at the moment. But when those actually couple, I know I'm kind of simulating it here, but the height is actually off on these. I don't know if you remember that or not, Sean.
Oh yeah, but I also remember not all these couplers will couple to each other either. They're not friendly with each other.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like if you're, even if these are at the right height, if you look at the USA and the Aristo knuckle there, you can kind of see like they don't. And I'm not talking bad about either coupler. It's just they're two different types of couplers.
Right. Yeah.
You can get some of these to work together, and the trick to it is to actually close the knuckles up on them. And since the Aristo actually has a shelf on the bottom, you can actually slide these together, sort of, and get them to couple together. It works, but they don't automatically couple. I'm glad that Dominic mentioned that. Let's see. I forgot all about that. And it's sitting right in front of me, too. These are actually on trucks that are on a USA flat car, but let's see. This is MTH makes their own knuckle coupler as well for their 1-gauge line. And I know this isn't the best viewing angle of it, but yeah, they're a little bit different yet from everybody else's, as you can see. So yeah, we'll throw another one into the mix of the difference in couplers. But yeah, the biggest thing you have to know is that a lot of these don't easily couple onto each other. I mean, it seems like the AML is a fairly kind of universal coupler as far as hooking up with the other ones are concerned. When I was messing around with these earlier, let me get in front of the camera. It does seem like the AML and the LGB will automatically couple with each other like they should. Oh yeah, Brian Brun, yes, you are correct. AML has both truck and body mounted couplers. I don't have a good example here at the moment, but the covered hoppers that they did, I have one that has body mounted AML couplers on it, and one that has the truck mounted on it. And if I'm not mistaken, Sean, did USA not offer body mount boxes for their couplers as well?
Yes,
I thought I had seen those in the past.
Yeah, they were offering body mount boxes on the 55-foot center flows, the more modern tank cars. So they started offering, you know, a place to put your own coupler in body mount.
Yeah. So I have to say, out of all of these couplers, the ones that probably have the most issue with coupling with other people's stuff is probably the Aristo. And when it's in the open position, you can kind of see why. There's a lot of extra stuff going on. Get my hand out of the shot. There's a lot of extra stuff in here that I think is used to help engage the knuckle when it closes, and it just kind of gets in the way. And a lot of these, too, because of the profiles they chose to go with on them, they kind of hang up. You can see the LGB and the Aristo. It's kind of hitting on the outside. They can't push far enough together to couple, but if you couple them, you can slide them together. So once again, you can get most of these couplers to hook together if you have mixed stuff. A lot of them you're not going to get to automatically couple, though, is the main thing. So my suggestion, as always, is to pick a coupler and standardize on it. I mean, all the different manufacturers, for the most part, offer their couplers that you can get them separately and standardize them. Now, obviously, I'm sure there's someone in the chat right now that's going, but Andrew, you're forgetting about something. So let's get those out of the picture. And let's see, where did it go? So what I've been converting all my stuff to, and what a lot of people have now, are the KD G-scale couplers. See, I knew it was driving Nico crazy. I wasn't mentioning it.
Yeah, he was itching to say it. I know he was.
Yeah, he's sitting over there screaming at the TV. So with the KD stuff, you have a variety of different things as well. Now, this is their 907, which is a straight shank coupler, obviously. And this is what they call their new type, the E series, because you actually don't see the spring that actuates over here on the side when these open. Let's see here. I know I got an older one here. So you can see, I know this is upside down, but you can see on the older ones, this spring's actually exposed. On the newer ones, they have it completely enclosed in there. Now, I haven't seen the springs pop out of these older ones, but it does happen. And, obviously with it being contained on these ones, it kind of alleviates that. I see Manimal says, what Manimal say? Scrolling right by. Manimal says he's standardized on AML 129 and KD type E. And then, of course, Kyle is always the slacker. Kyle likes the slack action of the 906. Now, one thing I'll point out, this box is heavily modified. The typical 906 box is a big square box. And the reason why you see this, and I'm going to simulate this terribly for you, but when you have your 906s body mounted, when your trucks turn, let's see if I can line that up a little bit better. When your trucks turn, they can only go so far before they hit that box. And, about what I'm twisting right there is about the amount of play you get. But a lot of people will take and they'll cut out the sides of the boxes, because like if you're going around a curve, that coupler is going to pull to that side, and your truck will actually be able to pivot in, and you actually get a lot more range of motion out of them, as you can terribly see with the way I'm demonstrating this. But that's my biggest hang up with the body mount is it does restrict your truck play. But as you can see here, you can modify it and make it work. I mean, it does leave the sides of the box open. Get my hand out of light there. But, once this is body mounted, if you got you want to put both screws in there, you'll have your screw through the middle and the back. It's not going to go anywhere. And I see, let's see, Brian Brunn was in the chat. He says, I use the 906 and 907. The large draft box on the 906 is a pain in some applications. And yeah, it can be. If you're trying to get a close couple, and especially like if you got something like passenger cars or F or E units with diaphragms on them, I mean, that's you figure if you got two of those, and the slack's going in and out, you can get quite a bit of difference in there. The other thing too is, as I've witnessed before, if you got a real long train running and it's all 906, and I'm not counting this as a downside to it, I'm just pointing it out, is your train comes to a sudden stop and there's pull on all these cars. It's kind of like snap the whip. The very last car in that train, by the time it stops, comes in and slams into the other ones. And I've seen a few calamities from that, but you just kind of got to be mindful of it. A lot of people like the slack action. It just all depends what you want out of it. Let's see here.
Kyle was wondering if you were using a free 4-track wheel for this demonstration.
No, I was not, because I've got my own big plastic sack of plastic wheels here. Despite as much as he tried, Nico kept trying to give away plastic wheels, and they kept showing up randomly in people's stuff, and I kept giving them back to him.
I kept giving them back to him, huh?
But, and we'll talk about wheels here in a second, but there are good uses for the plastic wheels as well. Despite just being on the car, I've seen people make loads for them and everything. One thing to point out when you're thinking about, before I go a little bit too far here, I'm going to get the numbers messed up here, but these couplers are they're 3-digit, the 906, 907. And since I don't use them, I can't remember the numbers on them, but KD also offers what's considered the 1-gauge coupler, which is closer to the 1/32 scale. And as you can see here, it's actually quite a bit smaller knuckle if you look at them, and especially if you look at them side on. Now, one thing I will point out is they will actually still work together. And I do have a few cars that have those on them, and they do work well. But something to point out, if you're running inside and you're running on, nice level bench work, I really have no issue with the smaller ones. But what's nice when you're running outside and if you don't have perfect track work is, just looking at, the difference in the height of the head on those. If your couplers are kind of going up and down as the track shifts around in that, you don't have as much lateral forgiveness on the smaller ones. It's only going to take a little bit of shift and they're going to come uncoupled. Yeah, I know it's the older, what now, Kyle? Andrew, that's the older G scale. They still make these ones, Kyle. This is the older style of the 1-gauge type couplers they make, but they still make these smaller ones. So yeah, this is the older 1-gauge style coupler because it's got the exposed spring on it. But like I said, you get a lot more forgiveness out of the larger couplers outside. As you can see, I mean, you got quite a bit. Well, that was a terrible demonstration there, but you got quite a bit of movement where they're still at half engagement before they actually get up there to where they'll slip apart. That's not the 1 gauge one. You mean that's not the 1 gauge one, Kyle? In a minute, Kyle's going to tell me to check my Facebook Messenger, I'm sure. They do. Well, I should point out that just like they do in the larger KDs, where you have, like the 907, the 906s, and then what I was going to show a little bit ago, where'd they go? They also have different offsets on these. This is a 908, because depending on what you're doing, when you're doing G scale, Andrew's going to lose it. No, I'm not going to lose it, Dunbar. Not tonight, at least. I'm in too good a mood. When you're doing your KDs, is always get yourself a coupler height gauge, because you want to make sure that stuff's at the right height. And words of wisdom, if you run track power, don't set your KD height gauge. And no, I have not done this, but I've seen other people do it. Don't set your KD height gauge on the track with power to it, because it is all metal. And, unless you're 3-rail like Sean, you do have to worry about polarity, and you throw that baby on there and you're going to short everything out. And also, the same note, when you're done using it, before you turn the track power back on, make sure you take that off of there. But yeah, you should always get yourself a gauge for their couplers, so that you can check and make sure that everything's at the right height. Because if you look at, let's see, where did it go? It's sitting here somewhere. I know this is a smaller coupler still on this one, but these are the really high offset ones. So if you were to use, for instance, the straight shank style, I know this is a little bit the two different styles of KDs, but that head would be way too low, and your pin would actually be down below the tracks, and it'd be catching on all your switches. But there is actually a lot to be said for body mount couplers, which I learned myself. If you're running, a dozen cars or so, you're not going to have too many issues. But what can start to happen here, see if I can flip this around, is, as you start going through curves and stuff, and your trucks are trying to turn to follow the curve, especially if you're mixing body mount and truck mount couplers, is you can end up with some adverse effects going on, where your car is trying to turn to go around a curve, and say you got a body mount on an engine and it's trying to pull it straight. When you start getting a lot of cars going, you're putting all that pull through all the trucks. The trucks can't actually just do their thing and follow the track. When I visited, the last time I visited Charlie Zimmerman's, and I ran a whole bunch of cars, I had a snafu that happened, and my train came to a sudden stop, and with all the truck mount couplers on there, when they all slammed together, they all kind of went all over the place. I've got a picture somewhere of all kinds of cars everywhere. Looks like a regular Penn Central kind of scene. But yeah. But the biggest thing is, there's a ton of different ways you can go with couplers in G scale. And, I don't use them, but for simplicity purposes, and if you don't want to spend a ton of money to standardize, everything that I've ever seen, for the most part, comes with the hook and loop couplers on them. For me, they're not for me.
Over in Europe, they still use hook and loop couplers.
What do you mean, like real railroads?
Yeah, they're still using them with buffers and hook and loop and all
You
that.
sure that they use? I know, and I'm not big on European stuff, but I thought on like European stuff, they actually used like the not so much like a hook, but they had like a chain that hooked between
Yeah, it's a chain.
cars.
It's a binder, and they ratchet it tight.
Yeah. Which European railroads kind of different from our stuff altogether. Now, the other thing I wanted to touch on was, and especially if you're thinking about coupler height too, and I apologize that this one wheel's kind of cruddy looking, but I just dug it out of my parts bin, is you've actually got a variety of different wheels. Actually, let me put it up here. It's going to roll away on me. You actually have a variety of different wheels that are available in G scale, and you need to pay attention to what the shot so it focuses right. There you go. You actually need to pay attention to the diameter of the wheels that you're putting on your cars, because if you put the wrong ones on there, you can end up with especially if you're doing KD, you can end up with them too low to where that pin is hanging down below the track. Now, Sean was telling me earlier, there's actually several different diameters of the USA metal wheels, which is what you're looking at here. But just to kind of see if I can do this, kind of show you, like on these USA wheels, if we look at the diameter on these, we're a little under 1/8 of an inch on the diameter, or 1.125 on the diameter on these, as you can see. Now, this here is a Bachmann wheel, which is about the same diameter, I want to say, as the like the Aristo metal wheels in that. Like I said, remember we were 1 inch 113 thousandths on that USA wheel. If you look at the Bachmann wheels, you're almost at 1 1/4 inch, almost 1 inch 228. That's gonna make for one heck of a difference in height. So, and I found this out when I started doing KDs, because this Bachmann wheel is really close to the size of what Aristo runs, and I started putting the USA wheels on there, and not only can it make that tang ride low, but on the Aristo trucks they're sprung. Let me get my hand out of there. Is Aristo has this faux kind of brake shoe that hangs down here. These wheels will lower these enough to where these will actually be like right at rail height, or maybe even below it. And what happens, since these are sprung, is it'll catch these and it flips them out of there, which then blows the springs out and your truck comes apart and things go everywhere. So just kind of try and be mindful of, when you're replacing your plastic wheels, you don't have to have, really good Mitutoyo digital calipers. You can pick up dial calipers and stuff cheap at other places. These just happen to belong to my father. He's gone now, so I like to hang on to them. But give your wheels a check as far as what diameter they're actually coming in at. I know that's kind of terrible there. And get a plastic wheel that's not in a truck, maybe. And I got a big sack of plastic wheels, and I honestly cannot tell you what the different brands are based off looking at the plastic wheels. But like I said, give it a check and see what diameter they are when you go to change them. And see, actually, this plastic wheel's in between what the two metal ones are. Yeah. So just kind of try and keep an eye on that. And something else I wanted to point out is when you have stuff that's picking up power from the rail, if you look at like these USA wheels, most of the USA stuff that picks up power, if I'm not mistaken, Sean, they use the carbon brushes on the backside, right?
Yes.
So if you look, you can see the black there right next to the axle, and you can see it there as well. Both of these wheels are actually insulated from this axle. So there's some stuff you'll get that actually picks up the power from the metal bushings in the side frames. Well, if you have a car that's designed to do that, and say something goes wrong with the wheels and you swap these in, they're not going to pick up power anymore. And a good example of those wheels are these here that you would have found on, and this one's been kind of quasi repaired, but this is actually it's a split axle. You actually have a plastic spacer in the middle here that keeps the two halves insulated. So there's actually no insulation between your axle and the wheels on these. So if you have these that break on you, and I thought I had some here somewhere. There we go. So what happens when that axle that's in front of you, that plastic spacer breaks, is you end up with this. This is what this wheel looks like without the plastic spacer. And as far as buying that plastic spacer, nobody makes that plastic spacer. This one was repaired. The person who repaired it, they actually put heat shrink tube over it to kind of try and hold it together. And it does sort of work, but it doesn't hold the wheels tight. So they're going to be prone to going out of gauge. You can kind of see I'm pulling them apart as we're doing that. It wasn't a really great way to do it. It got the job done, I guess. But as that plastic ages and gets brittle, that spacer will end up breaking on them. And you're going to have issues. So I wish I could say there's a good replacement if these wheels break. I don't have a set of the Crest wheels in front of me. No, those ones are like that. The Crest wheels, if I had one here, unlike this USA wheel, the Crest wheels, actually one side of this is not insulated. So you can actually pick up power if it picks up through the axle end. You can alternate and have the wheels flipped and pick up power from, a wheel on each side to get the power that you need. Styrene tubing, 4Track said. I've used styrene tubing to try and sleeve over top of these before, and it has worked. It's a little bit kind of iffy at times. It has worked, but kind of be mindful of, if you're doing power pickup, what's insulated and what's not. And someone in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong on this. I believe, to the best of my knowledge, this was the early Bachmann metal wheels, but someone was telling me earlier they thought these were the LGB metal wheels. I'm not 100% sure on that, but these are just a metal axle and a metal tread. This whole inner on these is plastic, so
I think
these are definitely.
They were LGB. I think they are.
You're wrong.
Well, I don't know what he's saying there.
You're wrong. I don't know. NSNG Rail Fences, those are early Bachmann. The two holes. That's what I was thinking, NSNJ, was the holes, because I always remember looking at these, and if you do anything that picks up track power with carbon brushes off the back, those holes are going to cause a problem because that brush is going to drop right in there. And my guess would be is those holes are probably in there. It was probably somehow part of the manufacturing process when they were making those, maybe. And I think you are right there, because LGB did a lot of carbon brush pickup off the backside of the wheels, and that would not have worked for them. And the early Bachmann stuff that came with these were the coaches they made. And the early ones actually had a battery box underneath of them to run off batteries, so they wouldn't need to pick up. Paul says there was also one on the old Annie tender by Bachmann. Okay. So, and there are some other types of wheels out there. someone in the chat can tell me if I'm wrong, but I want to say these wheels are, I'm going to get it wrong. I don't think it was, come on, Sean. You said it earlier, I thought.
I did?
Yeah, I thought you did. I'm trying to think who the heck these were made by. But you will notice that these actually have a smaller flange on them.
Yes.
Yeah, Dunbar says, wake up, Sean. Maybe go have yourself another skinny cow or whatever that was you had. What the heck was that you had, the ice cream you didn't offer me?
Oh, the skinny cow, yeah.
Yeah. The train department is what Nico's saying is who these are made by. So one thing you will notice is there is a big difference in flange on these. So I haven't run any of these ones here yet myself. I'm curious to see how they fare for me on my layout outside.
Aren't they made for Code 250 rail though?
Well, and that's actually a good point, Sean, is oh yeah, Four Track says old Sierra. That's what I was trying to think of. Sierra Valley was who made them before. Yeah, if you're, I don't have any, but this track behind us is code 332, obviously.
Yes.
Which means that the height from the bottom of that rail to the top is 332 thousandths. And of course, 250 is 250 or a quarter of an inch. So yeah, if you try to run these larger flange wheels on code 250, what you end up with a lot of times is, you can see the spike sticking up there is on 250, those flanges will hit it and you kind of get that kind of choppy thing going along. Ken Hoffman said they look like roll easy wheels. I know which ones you're talking about, Ken, and I think these might be a little bit different than the roll easy. I could be wrong.
The roll easy wheels had the deeper flanges on them.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, NSNJ Railfan on these wheels here says they work great even on 20 plus car trains. So I've got enough of these, I think, to do like 3 cars or so. So I'm curious to try them out. And what's nice is, these are actually a fully like machined wheel. They're not cast or anything. And these actually have a really good weight to them. Probably the lightest out of these wheels is this old Bachmann one that's just got the metal treads on it. And that's actually another good point too, is a lot of the G scale cars are on the light side, and you can add a lot of, you can add a lot of low center of gravity weight to your cars by just upgrading them to metal wheels.
Yep.
Which will make them track a lot better, less prone to derailment. In my opinion, you can't go wrong with metal wheels. If you're just running, short trains, small cars and stuff, I mean, the plastic wheels will work fine. It has seemed to me, I don't know, when you had all your G's, Sean, did you have plastic wheels on the freight cars, or did you upgrade them all?
Oh, no, I upgraded everything to roll easy because...
Oh, you did the roll easy, okay.
Yeah, because at that time they were cheap, they were easy to get a hold of, and they had featured bearings in them.
Okay. But, especially if you run track power, well, yeah, Brian, that was something I was going to get to in a second. That Brian Brunn mentioned is metal wheels don't melt to hot rails. Now, depending on how your layout's set up in that, if you got track that's like in the sun 90% of the day, you're going to start to get off the plastic wheels, you're going to start to get deposits off of those as they kind of heat up and get gummy. And it may depend some too on, you gonna say something, Sean?
Yeah, I think he's talking about if you have a garden railroad in Tucson, Arizona, and the sun is blasting on it and 102-degree weather, and you decide to put your plastic wheel freight car on there, it's just going to flat spot it.
Yeah, I see Canadian Railroads said that they like the KD trucks. I have heard a lot of good thing about the KD trucks. Unfortunately, I don't really have a lot in the way of truck upgrades to show people. Maybe sometime in the future. But yeah, metal wheels. You can't go wrong with adding metal wheels to your stuff. But something I want to point out that a lot of people don't know is, I'll bring this piece of track up here so I can get my hand out of the shot. Oh, yeah. Brian says he's melted the Heartland Locomotive Works plastic wheels at RLD. I believe that because that track's pretty much in the sun all the time. So you've upgraded all your small Heartland cars to metal wheels then, Brian. So a lot of your trucks, when you're changing out the wheels on them, is, people are going to take and you're going to pry apart on these to spread the side frame to pop these wheels out. For most of your trucks, that's fine. Most of the trucks, other than like the Ultimate Series USA, they're a non-sprung truck. There's no springs in them. You can pry them apart. They come apart just fine. But very specifically, I wanted to point out is when it comes to the Aristo style trucks. Now, I don't know if everybody can see that or not, but you can tell that the one truck, the plastic is very black in color. This one has a gray color to it. This here is the older trucks that came on the stuff that was made under REA before they changed their name to Aristo. The plastic on these trucks, these gray ones, it's not as pliable and it is not as forgiving as these newer ones. Okay. On either of these trucks, I personally don't recommend prying on them to get the wheels out. I've done it. Other people have done it successfully. But you always run a risk of breaking these trucks when you do that. If you're going to try it, make sure they're the black trucks. If you try to pry apart these gray ones, there's a very high probability that they are going to break. And if you look here, this is the without the side frames on it from the gray truck. All that holds those side frames on is it still kind of exists a little bit here, is there's a little thin lip right here that captures that side frame in this area. And when you start to pry on these, you can see this one's blown apart right there. You pry a little bit too much and that's going to break. And once it does, that's it. This truck is done. And I know probably someone's going to mention here. And the Infinity Hobby channel got right to it. I'm not going to live demonstrate the springs. I will, mainly because I'm just not set up at the second with this camera in front of me to do it. Once you do a couple of these, it's actually not that hard to do it. You only got to pop the springs out of one side to release one of these side frames, and then the wheels drop out. You can put your metal wheels in, and yeah, you can go through a few springs when these suckers go flying on you. But after you do a couple of them, and every time I do one for the first time, I lose a spring. But after you do a couple, you can actually get into a pretty good rhythm of getting these popped back together. Now, I've seen a few different people make recommendations on not having the springs launch on you. I've seen some people, I'm trying to think, Sean, was it like dental floss that some people do? They'll take and thread like a small piece of dental floss through the spring. And it's thin enough that, when they get the spring started going back in, they can pull the dental floss out and it doesn't go flying.
Yeah.
I've seen other people use like a large Ziploc bag, since you can see through it. almost kind of like a clean room kind of environment where they'll take them, put everything inside the bag and kind of work inside of it. So if the spring goes flying, it gets captured in there. But I just wanted to warn that these gray plastic ones, there's a pretty good risk that you're gonna break these side frames, or rather what traps the side frames, if you pry on them. So just be careful with them. The newer black plastic ones are a little bit more forgiving, but I still am not a big person in recommending prying on them. Let's see. Oh, I see. Brian Brunn says he adds journal bearings to the AML trucks. And you actually can do that with the Aristo ones. I don't have a side frame taken apart, but inside of here, there's actually a Delrin sleeve that presses into each one of these journals on these. And you can buy, I don't have the size in front of me. You can buy small ball bearings that actually press in there to kind of make them roll a lot freer. Let's see. The Infinity Hobby channel said the only way you could get it to work was to cut down the spring a little bit. Yeah, cutting down the spring will help, but the one thing you got to watch with that, and I'm glad you mentioned that, is I wanted to mention too, when it comes to couplers with being truck mount, is when you cut those springs down, they're not going to have as much tension in them. And as you get more and more cars and you're doing truck mount and it pulls on this, you can actually, well, let's see if I get my hand out, or you can probably see a little bit better, is you can actually get these couplers to start dipping. Now, the newer black trucks, the springs in these were a lot stiffer, but these older gray ones had really, really soft springs in them. And as you can see, they compress really, really easy. So you start getting a long train going with truck mounted couplers, you can see that tang tips down real easy. And what will happen, that tips down. And when you're on open track like this, it's no big deal, but you're going through a crossover or a switch and you've got tension on there pulling that down. It's just enough that it'll catch a cross rail. And then the next thing you know, you've got a Penn Central incident on your hand.
Speaking of trucks,
yeah.
Did Aristocraft make anything other than friction bearing type trucks?
Yeah, they did actually. Let's see. Well, actually, we were looking at them on the Bachman Evans car, Sean.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah, they made. I don't have one that's like separate that I can throw in front of the camera, but yeah, they made the roller bearing trucks that look a lot like the ones that AML did, and USA made it. I think they might be as slight variations of each other, but the bulk of the Aristo stuff, yeah, came with these friction bearing trucks. I know the roller bearing ones that Aristo did, they have the spinning journal caps on them, and the wheels actually ride in a brass bushing that's inside of there, and you got to make sure you put a little bit of oil on it, because if not, they screech like crazy. And it just takes a couple little drops of oil just to get that fluid film on there so it can ride on it. But yeah. So, you know, that was my spiel on couplers and wheels. Is there anything I was forgetting to mention on wheels, Sean, that we had talked about or anything?
No. Manimal mentions, yeah, the Evans and the 100-ton hoppers had the rotating wheel bearing cap trucks.
Oh, you know what? I've got. I didn't realize it's. See if I can get it off the shelf without dropping a bunch of things. It's on a car, but I might be able to get it in front of the camera. So, yeah, that's the friction bearing that Aristo did. And you might be able to see it on this Evans.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
This was a Jim Vichek car that was weathered, which is why the trucks are all beaten looking. But these are fully sprung as well. They got 3 springs in them. And as I said, the bearing caps on these actually spin, which was a nice feature on them. And just like the Evans cars we were looking at earlier that Bachman's redoing, there is no, well, it's hard to see with the truck there. There is no pad on these for a KD, but you can fairly easily do a body mount on them. So let me change my camera back around here. While I do that, Sean can sing or do ventriloquism acts for you. Let's see here.
Well, you know what that means. You're going to have to take all your modern Aristo stuff that has friction bearing trucks on them and upgrade them to the rotating wheel bearing cap.
Yeah, you say that. And I'll do that. I'll do that as soon as you buy me all those trucks.
Wow.
I agree. They're not the right trucks to be on a lot of the cars because they're friction bearing, but that starts to add up after a while if you're going to buy all those trucks. And the KD trucks are really nice if you want to upgrade to them. I see NSNJ said that those also came on the road railers as well. I never had any of the road railers. I've seen them, I never looked at them up close. I see Brian Brunn said he started using the KD 100-ton trucks. He said the wheels are a full 36-inch diameter. It does change the coupler mounting height, which, like I mentioned earlier. Really? That's an interesting one. The 2-bay covered Aristo Hopper actually had the roller bearing trucks on it when they offered it as a show car one year. I didn't know that. Why didn't you know that, Sean? You're supposed to know all about these things.
Oh.
But as I said, that was my spiel on wheels and couplers. I know it's not the most scientific approach to it, but see, you should know that, Sean, because you know that railroad. It was the Winchester and Western 2-bay covered hopper.
Yeah, that railroad actually runs in my backyard.
Really?
Yeah, the Winchester Western runs right here.
I figured we'd see all kinds of rail fan videos out of you then.
Yeah, well, I'm not really a rail fan person per se, so
I could understand that. There's a short line that runs through where I'm at, and typically about the time they're running is when I'm sitting at my desk working. So all I can do is listen to the sounds and wonder what it looks like.
the one thing that does get a lot of rail fans down here in my town is the Winchester Western has one of the very few operating SD9s.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. And
that's been something people have wanted to see in G scale for a while.
Yeah, and it's got a very unique horn on it.
Do you know what style of horn they have on it, or no?
Not really. I think I caught it on video once as a small rail fan type of video.
Let's see here.
But the car that they did at the show was exactly just like how the yellow Winchester and Westerns really have. They really own them.
And one other thing I wanted to mention, since we were talking about the East Coast show, is we all love a good all G scale show because we know when you go to an all scale show, there's usually some G scale kind of scattered about here or there. And let's see, do I got the right thing up here? I wanted to mention here in Northeast Ohio, the Riverside Railroad Club will have coming up the 25th and the 26th in June. They're going to have an all G scale show that they're going to be holding. And if you go to their website, it's riversiderr.org. Yes, .org. You can get more info on it. I believe they still have some tables left for vendors if there's people looking to set up an app. But this is their second year doing it. Last year it was just a 1-day show, and I thought it was a really, really nice show. They're expanding it to 2 days this year. And the nice thing is they have a nice large indoor layout that they've been working on. I think it's got 3 main lines on it now, or 2 main lines, and yeah, I think they completed the third one around where it's a third complete main line now. But they got a really nice layout that's operating during it. So not only can you go and buy trains, you can go and watch them run. I just wanted to throw that out there because I think we should have more all G scale shows.
Yeah, and since it's in Ohio, Andrew is hosting people to stay overnight at his house.
Whoa. As long as your name's not Dackman. Yeah, I didn't clear that with my wife. But yeah, check out their website. They got some info about the club and that on their site. Once again, it's riversiderr.org. But with that said, I'm trying to think if we had anything else we needed to go over tonight, Sean. Was there anything else we needed to mention or anything?
No, I think we covered it. And Kyle says Hotel Andrew. Yeah.
Hotel Andrew? Well, it ain't Hotel California. They shut that down. At least the one that tried to open here. They had some copyright infringement.
Ken's asking, do they have a vendors list for that show yet?
Do they have a vendors list? I want to say no. The last time I talked to someone from the club, that was one of the things I mentioned to them was that it would be nice to have a vendors list because that can go a long way to, attracting people to want to come to the show. Because obviously if it, for me, it's 30 minutes away, no big deal if I go. I mean, I know it's going to be a good show, but, for someone that's looking to drive a couple hours, 5 hours, it'd be nice to see a vendors list. So I'm hoping that they're going to do that. Yeah, there's Kyle trying to bribe my wife with Chick-fil-A again.
Nico's asking what? No giveaway? So
no giveaway?
Yeah.
I don't know. Did Nico give me something to give away?
I think he gave you. Didn't he give you like those lowering bolsters?
Not to give away. Those are to put on mine.
I figured that would get a rise out of you.
No, those are theoretically supposed to go on mine one day when I get to it. With that mentioned, though, with Nico saying that is, I know we do giveaways from time to time, and it's not feasible for us to do that all the time. We do enjoy it when we do, and I know Nico's just busting my stones on that.
Nico says FA lowering kit.
FA lowering kit?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, you gave me an FA lowering kit for my FAs. Didn't realize that was a giveaway item. I'm calling out on that one.
I didn't realize it was a giveaway item.
No, unfortunately, no. I don't have anything to do a giveaway with this evening. Perhaps our next show we'll have something to do. I mean, like I said, it's something we like to do, but it's obviously not something we can do. I see the Infinity Hobby channels volunteering Nico to do hashtag 4-track free high hood print. See what you got yourself into, Nico?
Oh, Heath is here right at the end.
But Heath's just now showing up.
Yeah.
He has a life or something and he can't tune in to watch us.
He must have been busy. 4-track says as a show sponsor. See that?
A show sponsor.
That's what he said.
I'm starting to wonder if I missed some conversation or something we had.
Well, you weren't really paying attention that well during the show. You were
You're
like
not paying attention.
train.
Oh, with that show, yeah.
Yeah, that show.
Yeah, Heath asking, "Are we just getting started?" Well, if you want to hang around, Heath, I can leave Dackman on here for you for another couple hours. He's raring and ready to go. Yes, oh the humanity. And actually speaking of which, our friend Heath there at Humanity Junction, he kind of dabbles in a little bit of everything: N scale, HO scale, O gauge, G. Although we think he needs to get more G. We keep telling him he needs that MTH 1 gauge GG1 to go with all the other scales of GG1s he has. But Heath actually does a really nice live stream on Tuesdays at 8 p.m., I want to say. I got to think about that because it used to be Mondays. Heath just wants to hear Dackman say "wow" over and over again. That's right. You actually met up with Heath at a recent train show, didn't you, Sean?
Yes, at the Mecca and NY MESE show.
But if you're into other scales of trains, or Heath's live stream is always a good time. He's always got some sort of project he's working on. Trying to think.
Oh,
The last one was the Lego train he was putting together.
Nico is saying he is offering a FA kit as a giveaway for you.
So you would like to give away an FA kit for this show, then, is what you're saying?
That's how I'm taking it.
I can do that. It'll take me a moment. Give me 1 second here. Sean can entertain you until I come back in a second.
So we do. Hey, Nico, just asking, do we set it up as hashtag Nico got robbed for the contest entry?
All right. So just to show people here, Nico makes a.
Sure. So I made a joke.
If he's wanting to do a giveaway on it, why not?
Well, I asked him if he wanted the giveaway as hashtag Nico got robbed, and he said sure.
Oh, all right. So now, if you go and check out his YouTube channel, 4Track RR, he's actually got a video that shows how he does this. But the kit consists of two bolsters. They're pretty much the same. That you actually have to cut out that section of floor on the old FA. And I wish I had a frame here for one that was open, but this bolster is actually a lot thicker on the original ones. When Aristo did the final run of these, or the final couple runs, they actually did lower them. But if you've got like the older black box or the bluish grayish colored REA ones, they probably ride about 1/4 inch too high. So the kit is those two bolsters, and there's some miscellaneous hardware in here. Like I said, if you go to Nico's channel and watch it, it's pretty straightforward. You got to drill some holes, and they pretty much just bolt in place of the original ones. Can I use those on Z scale? Well, Heath, probably not. Probably not. So
looks like Nico wants it set up as hashtag I was robbed.
I don't know if I can do it with the spaces.
No, you can't. It's got to be all together.
That's what I thought. It has to be all together. So Give me 1 second here before anybody enters any hashtags, because I'm not ready to collect them yet. And if we talked about doing this, Nico, and I forgot, I apologize. Let's see here.
Oh, look, Heath put up the video for the lowering bolster.
Ah, thank you, Heath. Yeah, that is the link to the video on 4Tracks page. And
Boy,
Nico actually has a lot of what's that?
He did that pretty quick. He's pretty quick finding that stuff.
Yes, Heath, I'm using the StreamYard giveaway tool. I'm just queuing it up here. And let's see. What did Nico want that to be?
Hashtag I got robbed, or I was robbed. Let me see what it exactly
I
was.
was robbed, huh?
I was robbed. Yep, that's it. Hashtag I was robbed.
That's what the man wants.
That's what he wants.
So, I was robbed. So let me put this up here. So let's see here. All right, I should have that running now. If you,
all right. So for those who want the Nico's 4-track RR lowering bolster for the Aristo FA, it's hashtag I was robbed.
Meet Suvi.
let's see here. So actually, well, because I want to let that run for. Hello, Tom. Strange and Things. Has Heath is he limited to 5 questions here? Strange enough, he doesn't ask as many questions here as he does on yours, because he shows up in like the last 5 minutes of our show instead of the beginning, like yours. So,
Nico says he'll give a choice of lowering bolsters. All right, there you go.
Oh, okay. So what I would like to do here, Nico, if you're okay, because I want to let this run for a few and collect for the giveaway, is I do have your video here. I will gladly sample your video on doing the lowering bolsters, but I just want you to be aware of it, so when it pops up, you don't flag me for like pirating your video or something if you get a notice. So if you're okay with me sharing your video in our live stream on doing the lowering bolsters, just give me a thumbs up or something there, and I'll go ahead and play some of it while we're waiting for people to put in their entries for the giveaway.
He was asking about a TMB Farmingdale open house next weekend. I never heard tell of it.
All right, let's see if I can share this video.
He said, sure, share away.
Oh, okay. Now, the one thing I don't know, I'm hoping that I'm not going to get a bunch of echo when I play this, because I'm not using my my earbuds tonight. Let me get rid of these other screens. Screen. Audio. Okay. So if you start hearing like a lot of echo or something, just let me know, everybody.
All right.
So this is the video that Nico has up on his site for those lowering bolsters.
And remember, he's giving you a choice of lowering bolsters.
Hello again
He's
from
just not limiting
Railroad.
you to
We have
the
another
FA.
exciting new product for you. This is a lowering kit for the older Aristo-craft FA1 and FB1 diesel engines.
Is that audio coming through okay,
Let
Sean?
me show you why
Yeah,
we
I
did
can
this.
hear it.
On the later runs of the Aristo-craft engines, they removed this protrusion and made an indent into the chassis, which lowered the motor block and the engine down 290 thousandths, 0.29 inches.
There
So
we
what
go.
we did is we created a kit, which you can see here, which installs after doing some cutting on the chassis, and will remount your motor block, lowering the engine down to 190 thousandths. Let's get started and disassemble our engines. So for the FA unit, we need to remove these two screws in the front by the nose. There's another screw down here underneath the front truck. There are two screws, one here and one here. I know they're a little hard to see, in the back, and that's on both sides. And then there's two screws in the back that we need to remove to separate the body from the chassis. For the B units, it's very similar. You have two screws up here in the front, another screw down the side, two more by the rear truck, and then the two in the rear. Again, there's three screws down each side, two in the front, two in the rear. Once you remove that, then you can pull the chassis and the shell apart. Now that we remove the body, you can see that there's a steel plate here with three screws and nuts securing the plate in. The next step is to remove this plate. If you have a wrench, it's easy to unscrew them. If they're thread locked in, there is the screw heads underneath the chassis that you would need to get to with a Phillips head screwdriver. I've loosened these already to make it easy for me for the video. So we're going to remove these.
Yeah, we've got special licensing for the voiceover,
I'm
Kyle.
going to set those aside for later use. And we can pull the screws out from underneath. You can see the screw in the nut there, just so you can see. I'm going to remove the other two.
And one of the FA engines I had shipped to me, those weights came loose in there.
Now this engine was wired for Revo. That's why the plugs may look a little different. In any case, the circuit board would have been here. So you unplug the motor block from the circuit board so you can pull the weight up and out and pass the wires carefully through. Now that the weight's off and out of the way, we can disconnect the truck from the chassis. By removing these two screws, which you need to set aside and keep for later use. Now I can lift the chassis off the motor block, carefully passing the wires through the chassis. And I can flip it over and remove this plate. You need to do this to both ends of the chassis. So now that we have the motor block removed, we're going to use the bolster as a template to mark where we need to cut. You can see here, the holes for the weight are here and here. So you could use those to align it up, and you could also use the holes where the motor block was sitting. And you could just kind of line it up as a guide. So I'm just going to make a quick little mark on either side. I'm using a silver Sharpie just so it's more visible. And I'm going to remove the template. So now you can see I have two silver markers. I'm going to take a square and make a line, and take the square and make a line. Basically, we're going to cut this whole section out of the chassis so we can replace it with the bolster. Let's get cutting.
So far, not too difficult. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, looks pretty good. Oh, he's got a high-powered tool.
So now we have the chassis here with the opening cut out. Next thing we're going to need to do is drill mounting holes for the lowering bolster. So we place the lowering bolster over the hole. If you notice, I cut on the insides of my lines. There's my original mark, and there's my original line, just so I have slight bit of overlap so you don't have ugly openings in the chassis. So now that that's aligned, I'm going to hold the chassis here, and I'm going to drill 4 holes.
Making sure not to drill holes into your wife's countertop.
Now I've made my marks, and I can complete my holes. Okay, now I have my 4 holes drilled. So the next thing we're going to do is grab our hardware and start assembling. So now that we have the hole drilled out, we're going to take the supplied hardware and start reassembling. Pass the screw through and install a nut. 4 screws, 4 nuts. Now we're going to start the reassembly. We'll take the longer screw and put it through the original hole for the weight. Then you'll take the supplied spacer. This was originally part of the bolster. If it's not broken off already, remove it. Slide that over to screw.
Real quick, I just want to mention, Doug, I see you put in the chat there, I was robbed. Anybody that's entering, make sure you put that hashtag in the front, or it won't get picked up by the system to do the giveaway for it. So make sure you're putting hashtag I was robbed in there.
And loosely install the nut. We're doing this because it's easier to get this in now than after the truck's on. So we're just holding that in place.
Good question.
Next, we'll take our truck. Again, passing the wires through.
I'm going to pause that for 1 second. Heath asked, this makes the coupler lower. Yes, that is correct. And I'm trying to remember. Yep. It says it lowers the couplers as well. So if you're doing body mount couplers, you won't have to build up as much shimming underneath of them.
And placing it down onto the chassis. And then we're going to reinstall the plate and the screws that we took off when we disassembled.
I like Doug's comment there. Thanks. I would have actually been robbed had I not told him about putting the hashtag in there. There we go. Doug got it.
Can Nico
Next
be
thing we're
robbed
going to
from his own
do is install the
giveaway?
weight. First, we're going to remove this nut we installed previously.
I think it'd be kind of
This was just to hold the
counterproductive
screw in
for
place
Nico to enter his
because
own
it's directly
giveaway.
over the motor.
Although that would be pretty good.
Pass the motor wires and pickup wires through the hole in the motor in the weight, and loosely install the nut back on so we don't have to keep holding the screw. Next, we're going to use 2 of the original screws for the weight, and we're going to thread them directly into the plastic of the new lower bolster.
Heath wants to know if the FA comes with the kit.
And then we can take
Nico says you supply the engine.
so now we're going to repeat this process
yeah,
to
no.
the other end, taking the other motor block and installing it onto the other end, and doing the same thing with the weight. So here you can see the finished product.
And let's pause that there real quick. You can see the difference. That to the left, that higher height is really not prototypical in the least for the FA, and it makes a drastic difference in the appearance of it once you lower them down.
We have the lowered aristo-craft FA frame on the right and the stock FA frame on the left. You can see the difference in the height here, which is about 3/8 of an inch, a little bit over 3/8.
That much? I thought it was a
And
quarter.
you can see that the gap is closed up between the frame and the truck, which is the look you're trying to achieve.
So, as everybody can see, It's really not that hard to do Nico's lowering kit on those. And again, like I said, it's 4trackrr.store if you'd like to check out his site. So let's see
It's
here.
not that easy.
The heck do I got playing now? YouTube's auto playing things on me.
Oh,
All right, so everybody's gotten their entries in. So let's see here. I got to share
Hello
this.
again, 4track
What the heck?
again with another.
Nico's starting to auto play more stuff in the background on me. Quit trying to take over my show, Nico. I'm like, wait a minute, why is Nico talking to me again? Let's see here. Share this up here so everybody can see it. All right. Heath having a little bit of humor. He says he also likes how the lowering kit makes the silver trucks look black. Obviously, two different trucks. So, let me actually, before I click on this, let me actually take the banner for the giveaway down so I don't have anyone trying to enter hashtags once we start doing the drawing.
there you go.
And Soviet Russia, Nico robs you. And actually, I'm gonna give this a second before I hit the draw on this, because I had someone mention to me with the delay in what I'm doing and when it actually reaches YouTube, we have like maybe a 10-15 second delay. I want to make sure that I give that a few seconds so that nobody thinks that I'm starting the drawing before they're getting a chance to put anything in. So let's see here. All right. I think we're ready to go. So let's see. Well, Nico can't get robbed tonight. Well, he's giving away a free items. Is that like getting robbed?
I think it is.
All right. Let's see. Who is it going to be tonight? If I see Nico's name pop up in there, I'm calling foul. Oh,
Oh,
it's our friend Canadian Railroads.
there you go.
No, Heath, I am not sending out a loco to the winner. Canadian Railroads, I'm not sending you an FA. I like you. I love the stuff you do, but you're not getting my FA. So if I get rid of my FA, then I'm not going to have nothing to put my kit on. So no, I'm not giving away my kit too. So Canadian Railroads, I know you have my many forms of contact. If you want to just shoot me an email, I can I'll forward it on to Nico, unless you want to go hit up his website at 4trackrr.store to get his contact info. But if you want to send it to me, I'll forward it off to him, since I know you already have all my contact info. I think you'll be extremely happy with the lowering kit that Nico does. He has many products that he's done. And thank you, Nico, for doing that. Like I said, if we talked about it beforehand that you were going to offer up a giveaway, I apologize if I forgot about it. I don't know where my mind could be at, other than today's my 17th wedding anniversary, and I'm doing a live show with Sean instead of spending time with my wife. You know, but I'll throw this up. I almost put the wrong thing up there. I'll throw this up at the 4track. I'll throw this up at the bottom of. Nope, wrong one again. If you want to check out Nico's website, you put this address in. Make sure I got this right now. Did I put the 4 in there? Yeah, I didn't put the 4 in my address when I put it in. Yes, that is the correct website address. So if you would like to go and check out everything that Nico has to offer, and see Heath's just on top of it tonight, other than being like an hour and 45 minutes late.
Yeah.
So yeah, check out Nico's website for 4-track. Like I said, he has a lot of good stuff on there. Thank you, Nico, for doing the giveaway. We really appreciate it. I think that Canadian Railroads will be super happy with that lowering kit. And with that, I think we should probably wrap it up. We've rolled around to a little after 11 on the east coast of the United States. I'm surprised Sean's still. Wait, you still okay? Yeah, you just moved your head. You're awake. I thought maybe you froze up on us there for a minute.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, he's trying to make up for being late. Oh, we'll find some way for you to make up for it, Heath. Some way. So we'll of course be back in 2 weeks. We'll have another show for you. I don't have any details for you on that show yet. We're still working that out, but we'll have something good put together for you again in 2 weeks. We'll be back. So until then, I see. Yeah, Kyle's ready to go to sleep. Good night, Kyle. You need your beauty rest. I know. Congrats at Dackman for being Dackman. But we'll see everybody again in 2 weeks. Until then, have fun playing with your trains and try not to have any derailments. So
There you go.
good night, everybody.
See, catch you guys later.